Wisdom perfected gives rise to loving desire. The origin and consummation of every man's salvation is wisdom, which initially produces fear, but when perfected gives rise to loving desire. Or rather, initially and providentially, wisdom manifests itself for our sake as fear, so as to make us who aspire to wisdom desist from evil. But ultimately it exists in its natural state for its own sake as loving desire, so as to fill with spiritual mirth those who have abandoned all existing things in order to dwell with it. To those who do not long for it, wisdom is fear, because of the loss which they suffer through their flight from it. But in those who cleave to it, wisdom is loving desire, promoting an inner state of joyous activity. For wisdom creates fear, delivering a person from the passions by making him apprehensive of punishment. And it also produces loving desire, accustoming the nous through the acquisition of the virtues to behold the blessings held in store for us. St. Maximus the Confessor. We meet here on this channel, which is about semen retention, in order to pursue wisdom. And as I've said many times, the purpose of semen retention and what semen retention potentiates is the pursuit of wisdom. St. Maximus the Confessor was a great, great saint of our church. He is a great saint of our church, praying for us in heaven. May God save us by his prayers. And he was a master of Holy Orthodoxy, a true theologian, one who became intimate while still in the body with God, the Holy Trinity. So what is St. Maximus telling us here? Well, he's telling you, among other things here in this passage, he's telling us the purpose of your sex drive, the purpose of your desiring capacity. As you know, you're a desiring creature. The power to desire is one of the God-given powers of your soul. That is especially the power of your body. And the soul is present in every cell of your body, according to the Holy Fathers of the Church. So this desiring power of the soul is designed for you to desire wisdom, which itself manifests in its natural state, according to St. Maximus the Confessor, as loving desire, divine eros. So in Holy Orthodoxy, the word eros, where we get the English word erotic, is used to describe the intimacy of the soul with God. Your capacity to desire, your sex drive, well, it may also unite you to a woman in matrimony, if the Lord wills, and you do. But its ultimate purpose is to unite you with wisdom. Jesus Christ is the holy wisdom, the divine word. So, of course, this desiring faculty is meant to unite you to Christ, but as you may know, there are two passions of the body, according to the Fathers of the Church: the passion of gluttony and the passion of fornication. That's simply the order of nature taken to an unnatural degree. So you desire food, and that's a good thing, because if you didn't desire food, you would probably forget to eat, and then you would die. By the same token, if no one desired to have sex, there wouldn't be any more people. God doesn't want us dying of starvation, so he gave us the desire for food naturally. And he doesn't wish for the human race to go extinct. He wishes for mankind to survive and thrive and prosper. And that requires procreation. So both your desire for food and your desire for sex are God-given desires. But when taken to extremes and perverted, the desire for excess food becomes sinful. We call that gluttony. The desire for sex outside of the God-blessed usage of that in holy matrimony, we call that the passion of fornication. And this is simply when the desiring power, the desiring faculty of your soul, your body, that is to say, when it's pointed in a natural direction, but then it becomes unnatural. Of course, you need a certain amount of food to live, but if you eat or drink, God forbid, 10 times that amount, you're going to become obese, uncomfortably heavy, probably sick, weak, fat. This is not good. By the same token, your sex drive could unite you to your perfect partner in holy matrimony, and then you could have a God-pleasing family and save your soul in holy matrimony. But also, the sex drive too can be perverted in ways that the devil wishes for. And then that as well destroys the soul and the body. St. Paul says that fornication is a sin against one's own body, which is a very strange thing to say because most of the time we think of a sin as either offending God or neighbor, but the sin of fornication is in somewhat a unique fashion. It's a sin against one's own body. It's an abuse of oneself. Not to speak of the abuse of one other person, or more, perhaps. So there is to utilize our God-given powers according to nature, which means as God intended, or unnaturally. And you know what that's like in our world of overeating and easy access to pornographic content or illicit sexual behavior, which the culture now tolerates and even lionizes. It's pretty easy to get off course in both of those two domains, and so we must remember where this desire is meant to be focused. It's meant to be focused on wisdom to unite us to God, and also to remind us to eat so we don't die, and to give those with that desire for marriage the opportunity through that loving desire to be properly partnered, yoked, as the scripture says. So we must remember that there is a right use of our God-given powers, and then there is an abuse, a misuse, a perversion. The ancient Greeks felt that sin is its own punishment. In other words, if you sin, which is simply to miss the mark, to deviate from the natural way which God intended, the ancient Greeks felt that that was its own punishment because the one who does unnatural, perverse things has to live with himself and then has to deal with the fact that he's now enslaved to whatever he serves. And so that slavery can only be removed by Christ himself. And then in that freedom which arises, loving desire, the desire for good works, the desire to acquire the virtues, as St. Maximus says, accustoming the nous through the acquisition of the virtues to behold the blessings held in store for us. These virtues he's speaking of, that's love, joy, peace, patience, loving kindness, goodness, faith, humility, and self-control. Those are the 9 virtues which are the fruits of the Spirit. Each has a passion which is the antagonist to that. We'll discuss that more in the future, God willing. Just bear in mind your desiring faculty, your sex drive. This is a gift from God. This is not a bad thing. Your ability to desire is not a bad thing. It's a good and beautiful gift. It's just that it must be kept in its proper course, as the ancient Greeks and the Holy Fathers of the Church would say, according to nature, which means according to God's will. Take good care of yourself. Pay attention to yourself. And I hope to speak to you again soon. Thanks for watching.